Thanks to our friends at the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Check out the link below, fool.com/the smattering, to get access to the 10 best stocks to buy right now. Warren Buffett's annual shareholder letter has been a must read for decades for many investors. We just got the most recent edition not too long ago. I've read it. My buddy Tyler Crow, who's here with me, also read it. And we found a couple of lines out of it that we think are the best advice individual investors could hear. And it's not even close. This is the smattering. We're going to talk about those right now. We know there's a lot of things people have been talking about. They're talking about the growth of the Coca-Cola dividend that Buffett highlighted in there. But there's a couple of other really kind of small lines that I think are easy to miss because they don't have the same sizzle. If Berkshire gets its cost basis back in Coke dividends every 2 years, right? That's sizzling. That sounds really exciting. And there's some other things that you and I both noticed that seem to be a little more compelling. How about you start us off?
Well, this particular line is compelling to be not for maybe what is intended to say. And this is where I get it. The line is, and this is kind of before he really delves into a couple of the great successes of Berkshire Hathaway of the years. It says, our satisfactory results have been the product of about a dozen truly good decisions. It's about one every 5 years, and sometimes a forgotten advantage that favors long-term investors such as Berkshire. And this, to me, was profoundly important because so often, every quarter when that 13F comes out, everyone goes running for ideas, right? Like, oh, what changed? What did they buy? What did they sell? What is different about the Berkshire portfolio? And to me, what this says is we're doing some things and we're kind of testing out some ideas, but that doesn't necessarily mean any of these are like the truly great decisions of the Berkshire portfolio. This isn't us buying Apple.
Clearly, he said essentially the vast majority of our success are one decision that we get really, really right about every 5 years.
Yeah. And so to me, that is profound because we as investors, we want, that thing to happen every quarter, but maybe it's okay. It is okay. Not maybe, it is. It's okay for us to make some mediocre decisions for a while. It's perfectly fine. If you're in it for a very long term, like you said, probably every 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to have one truly great idea, one truly great investment. And that's going to make you. And it's okay to wait around for that. It's okay to test out a few things along the way and maybe make some mistakes. But be ready when those opportunities every 3, 4, 5 years comes around, because that to me was the most profound thing out of everything else.
Yeah, the other side of that, to kind of take the Charlie Munger inversion principle here, is that you don't have to get everything right. And you're going to make mistakes. And Buffett said in this letter several times, and he always does, he always kind of writes with a little bit of humility, even as he's bragging about the successes. And what I want to highlight is a couple of sentences later in the first part of the letter where he says, the lesson for investors, the weeds wither away in significance as the flowers bloom. Over time, it takes just a few winners to work wonders. So again, that highlights exactly what you were talking about. But this is the big thing that I want to hit here. And yes, it helps to start early and live into your 90s as well. There's an anonymous writer out there that's producing some really interesting work that's Misfit Alpha. And I've read Misfit Alpha's most recent letter and talked about with Buffett, one of the keys is he's been more the Cal Ripken. It's time. Right? It's this massive advantage of time. And I think that's so important to us as individual investors, is we're not beholden to Wall Street's quarterly expectations that so many of the investment pros are. So we need to leverage that. We know what our goals are and we know who we're reporting to, and it's ourselves and to our families. And we can leverage that as long as we possibly can, make a few really good decisions. Don't get too caught up in the mistakes, and you're going to create generational wealth for yourself.